Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurinmiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale SyamaRupa Dasa Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvesesha Shunyavadi Paschadeshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everyone may kindly repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Sri Surabhyaya Namaha. 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 Mukam karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim yat kripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yat kripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our ongoing session, Pariprasnena Sevaya, that has been ongoing for some 2 weeks approximately. We are mainly dealing with topics related to the whole ideology of Varnasrama Dharma. I just want to share, before we do our regular reading from speaking about Varnasrama, a little update on what I mentioned briefly a few times already, the ongoing developments of the Varnasrama College online. Today was a historical day in that for the first time members of the existing steering committee for the Varnasrama College online held their first conference call, and we had devotees actually from Canada, from Malaysia and India. We will be giving more information in the days and the weeks to come. For the time being, just a few short short bits of information that will be helpful to those who are eager to know more about Varnasrama, and especially those who would like to become involved in some way or other. So first of all, the website that we have is can be visited, can be at least the homepage is basically giving introductory information to what are the goals and objectives of this initiative, and you can visit at www.varnasramacollege.com. We are in the process of gathering devotees from different countries who would like to teach online, and we already have selected 5 of our program leaders. A program leader is someone who will be basically overseeing some particular field of knowledge, which in our context will, in due course of time, develop as a faculty. And these 5 devotees will therefore be in contact with those who are teachers, those who would like to become official, recognized, and approved teachers of the Varnashram College online. Within a short time, we will be having registration forms available on our website for those who would like to officially register both as teachers as well as students. So I will not go into details, of course, right now. All of this information will gradually be made available on our website. And just for your information also, and I think it's very important, it's something we touched upon in our discussions this morning. It is not simply some academic undertaking or initiative. It is going far beyond simply the academics. Naturally, academics will be there, but we especially want to involve and encourage both teachers as well as students to be moving more and more towards actually relocating, re-establishing ourselves in the country, reviving, as Srila Prabhupada has told us, reviving the original Vedic culture, which is an agrarian-based culture. Or as we often quote, one of the purposes of the Krishna consciousness movement is to bring about a complete overhaul within society and to revert to the 4 natural social systems of Varna and Asrama. So please follow up on this, and there is information on that homepage where you can write to us for additional information. And as I mentioned, hopefully very soon, definitely within 1 week's time, we will have more information for all of you. Thank you very much. And now we will read from our book speaking about Varnasrama. Once again, we highly recommend this book as a book of reference, as the basic book of reference, I would say, for all of our temples, for all of our devotees who are serious to know and understand more clearly about what is Varnasrama, what is Varnasrama Dharma, specifically what is Daiva Varnasrama, and what is Srila Prabhupada's mission in terms of reintroducing Varnasrama. We read in our last session, chapter 11, which was dealing with the topic of growing our own food. I'd like to mention also here that we have a WhatsApp group that is entitled Food Devotee Grown. We very much encourage, highly encourage devotees, wherever you may be, country, city, wherever, to take this up seriously, especially in the context in which we are living at present. This is meant to be the norm, actually, in Vedic culture, that we know where our food is coming from. And ideally, it should be coming from the hands of devotees. It should be grown from the seed planted in the ground right up until harvesting of the produce, etc. This is from a morning walk in 1974 in Rome on the 27th of May, entitled Petroleum versus Ox Power. I think many of you will remember quite some years back when there was a whole crisis in the context of Cuba not being able to receive petrol because of sanctions that were being imposed. The country practically overnight, within a very short time, completely reverted to ox power. And the whole organic farming initiative actually took place, so much so that Cuba became one of the very advanced countries promoting and living the principles of natural farming, organic farming. So let's see what Srila Prabhupada has to say in this respect. Some of the themes that are mentioned here. Energy problems will be solved as soon as we are localized. I'll repeat this because it's very significant, needless to say. That's an understatement. Energy problems will be solved as soon as we are localized. If we don't voluntarily become localized, nature has its own way. Second, oxen will solve problems of transportation. Third, ISKCON should be ideal by practical application. Nice philosophy. Where's the application? Very often people will ask. Then, another point Prabhupada refers to, produce your own paper, not paper money. Produce your own paper for writing. There's enough other kinds of paper being produced. Srila Prabhupada really wanted that we become self-sufficient. We hear about, of course, producing our own cloth, producing our own food, growing our own food, producing our own cloth, making our own homes, here producing our own paper. Then Krishna conscious communism. Shudras will not revolt if they are protected and treated nicely. In the conversation, there is some discussion about, at that time actually there was some talk about a third world war, and then Prabhupada refers to the fact atom bombs won't be thrown on the villages. Normally they are thrown in the cities. And then this statement that Prabhupada makes, we don't want cities. I'm just repeating, we don't want cities. When they see our villages are better than the cities, people will take to it. So some of these points, I'm just basically reading the themes as they are summarized in the beginning of every chapter here. So let's read a little bit this conversation here. So So Prabhupada, yes, we are going to solve all problems. Let us have some preliminary discussion how we are going to solve. Bhagavan. So Prabhupada in this way was inciting devotees, was inviting arguments. Tell me, what are the problems? Our Vedic culture, Vedic knowledge has the solution actually to all the problems. So one devotee, Bhagavan, the biggest problem now is that they have built up a type of society in which their needs are all coming from petrol energy. To produce what they need today, all is coming from this petrol energy. Yes, yes. Which they are importing basically from Saudi Arabian countries, yes. Then he continues, Bhagavan, now recently in the last war in the Middle East, Saudi Arabians raised the price of the oil over double now, I think, as a pressure to the Western countries to do things in their favor. Now they realize that the market for oil is in such great demand that they don't have to lower the price after the war, but they're going to keep the price. And actually the price is still increasing. So this is causing inflation. So in this way, Bhagavan is presenting one of the problems. This is in 1974. Srila Prabhupada answers, so this problem will be solved as soon as we are localized. Petrol is required for transport, but if you are localized, there is no question of transport. You don't require petrol. Suppose in Vrindavan we stay, we don't go anywhere, then where's the need of petrol? Bhagavan, petrol they also use for heating and electricity. Prabhupada answers, no, heating we can do by wood, by nature. Then another devotee, Dhananjay, I remember Srila Prabhupada, you were saying that all we require is some oxen, and the oxen can carry. Prabhupada, yes, the oxen will solve the problem of transport. That bullock cart, just like Krishna, when he was transferred from Gokul to Nandagram, so they took all the bullock carts, and within a few hours, they transported them, the whole thing, their luggage, family members, everything. One devotee is asking, how far can a bullock cart travel in one day? Because in America, one is accustomed to going by car hundreds of miles. So Prabhupada replies, at least 10 miles, very easily. And maximum he can travel 15 miles, 20 miles. But when we are localized, we don't require to go beyond 10 miles, 5 miles. Because we have created a rubbish civilization. Therefore, one is required to go 50 miles for earning bread, 100 miles hanging. Referring to those who travel from Krishnanagar to Calcutta or anywhere for that matter. The trains are so crowded, people are hanging. Yes. Like in Los Angeles. Why Los Angeles? Prabhupada answers. Everywhere. In New York, they are coming for 100 miles from the other side of the island. First ferry steamer, then bus, then so on. 3 hours, 4 hours they spend for transport. So this is ongoing, we know, and it is causing so much of stress. It is so taxing on individuals. So this is a little glimpse of the topics which are in the book speaking about Varnasrama, and we'll continue the next chapter. And now on to some of our questions. Yesterday we read up to question number 45. We are beginning our 15th session with question number 46. This is from Krishna Chandra Prabhu, who's in Bellary. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. My opinion is that all ISKCON presidents should be trained to determine the varna of devotees. Otherwise, if a devotee of Brahmana varna is engaged in the service of Shudra varna, or opposite also, then those devotees feel difficulty and also may leave. So how can this be implemented soon? We were reading, of course, on this very topic a few days ago from the book speaking about Varnasrama, wherein Prabhupada explained that actually the Varna is determined by the Guru. So of course Guru is not always physically present, especially in our International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Therefore, one also needs to hear and take guidance and instructions from representative of Guru, representative of the spiritual master. Of course, to actually determine the varna of an individual does require the input of the spiritual master, although those who are local leaders can also help the spiritual master to because of knowing that particular devotee more closely. In a temple, I would say that in a temple situation, determining the varna of an individual is less critical than when someone is not living in a temple. Why? Because in a temple situation, although as much as possible one should be engaged according to his inclination and propensities, in a temple situation where the emphasis is very strongly on doing the needful to serve Krishna. So even though one may be a Brahmana, there may be a need to wash the floor, to clean the temple, to perform activities which normally may not be done by someone who is a Brahmana. So I would say there is less rigidity in a temple situation. It's more critical, more important for one's varna to be known, to be established when one is living in a larger community of a village, for example. So one of the reasons, that is, I would say one of the reasons we have not very much emphasize this aspect of identifying a devotee's varna, because many of our devotees are serving in temples. Of course, I would say that is more the reality now, where we actually have the larger percentage of devotees. But mostly we are having this temple kind of mentality. In other words, due to our not having developed natural communities within a rural setting, within a village, due to not having developed farm communities where such groups of individuals and families live together, and where it becomes more obvious and more necessary as well to know one's Varna, then we are, I would say, lagging behind in terms of this aspect. It doesn't mean that we should not give it importance, even in the cities, but it becomes more important. And therefore, what can be helpful for our devotees is to learn to read some of the explanations given by our acharyas. Srila Prabhupada, in this small essay on Gita Nagari, which is still not yet published, but it is available in the database in the folio. So in that small essay on Gita Nagari, Srila Prabhupada gives very nice information as to how one can determine one's Varna. Similarly, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in some of his writings, makes reference to the process by which one determines an individual's Varna. So it's good to read these descriptions, and gradually these can be introduced in our society. Although knowing and determining one's Varna is important, to conclude on the point, those living within a temple situation should learn to take up activities which, depending on the local situation in the temple, will be needed for the proper functioning of the temple. Those who are leaders in our different temples, of course, it is part of their responsibility to try and engage devotees according to their natural inclinations. But devotional service in itself, in the higher levels, pure devotional service, we could say is not dependent as such on one's Varna. So like this, there are different angles that need to be considered. The less one is engaged in devotional service, or we could say the less one is advanced in devotional service, then the division of Varna, followed by division of ashram, therefore takes on more importance. So reading about on this subject matter will help our devotees, and having discussions as well. And what will be most important, what will actually bring a long-term solution to this question that is puzzling actually many devotees, is for more and more of our devotees to actually relocate in a more natural setting and to follow the recommended social arrangement, which is agrarian lifestyle, which is recommended in Shastra. And now we can go to question number 47. Okay. This is from Akinchana Krishna Prabhu, who's in the Gulf countries. Dear Maharaj, in our morning E-Bhagavatam class today at Damodar Desh, following verse was quoted by Srila Prabhupada in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 9:22-25. In this age of Kali, 5 acts are forbidden: acceptance of the order of sannyas, Brahma Vaivarta Purana. Furthermore, during the question and answer session of the E-Bhagavatam class, online Bhagavatam class, one devotee referred to the Bhagavad Gita 18:49, where Srila Prabhupada stated in the purport, and I quote, "A sannyasi is supposed to be free from the reactions of his past activities. But a person who is in Krishna consciousness automatically attains this perfection without even accepting the so-called order of renunciation. This state of mind is called Yoga Ruddha, or the perfectional stage of yoga." So the question is, could you kindly elaborate on the mental and physical platforms of sannyas ashram? Could you kindly elaborate on the mental and physical platforms of sannyas ashram? When in the statement from the purport to the Bhagavad Gita, where it mentions that a sannyasi is supposed to be free from the reactions of his past activities, but a person who is in Krishna consciousness automatically attains his perfection. So this refers to the fact that one may be a sannyasi, but one may not be Krishna conscious. Of course, we take it for granted that a sannyasi, obviously a sannyasi, an ISKCON sannyasi is Krishna conscious. An ISKCON Brahmana is Krishna conscious. But we should know that actually the vast majority of Brahmanas in society, or outside of ISKCON society, the vast majority of Brahmanas outside of ISKCON, and the vast majority of sannyasis outside of ISKCON, or outside of the Vaishnava Sampradaya, are not Krishna conscious, are not engaged in devotional service, because the vast majority are actually impersonalists. A Brahmana means one who cultivates the science of Brahman. But the perfectional stage of Brahman is the Parabrahman, Param Brahman, the Supreme Brahman, or the source of Brahman, which is the same personality of Godhead. So, this is the real perfectional stage of sannyas. Sannyas, of course, means renunciation. It is not the external dress. Your question is referring to the physical platform of sannyas ashram. Sannyas ashram is the 4th order, as we know, and one dresses in a particular way, and one is referred to as sannyasi. Generally one has a danda. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna refers to sannyas yoga as being the real platform of a sannyasi. And therefore, Prabhupada would sometimes say about his early grihastha disciples, they are better than sannyasis. They are as good as sannyasis. Why? Because sannyas means to renounce. But it does not stop at renouncing. So many people may be renouncing, but one has to also adopt or accept the path of bhakti or devotional service. One has to cultivate the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. So therefore, a sannyasi, the mental disposition of a sannyasi according to our Vaishnava philosophy and understanding is one who has not only renounced or become detached from this material world, but one who has developed strong and deep attachment for rendering a service to both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Vaishnavas, and for that matter, everything and everyone, all living entities who are dear to Krishna. So this is what we should be especially concerned about. What is the mentality, not only of those who are formally in the order of sannyas, the fourth ashram, but we should be especially looking at what is the level of consciousness of an individual, and therefore we can therefore find and see persons who may be either brahmacharis or they may be householders, just like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his conversation with Ramananda Rai, when Lord Chaitanya, who was in a renounced order of life, but wanted to hear, knowing the exalted position of Ramananda Roy, he wanted to hear from him. Ramananda Roy, being very humble, was hesitating, considering himself unqualified, being a householder, not even born in a Brahmana family, and being involved in politics, having responsibilities in the government. But Lord Chaitanya, of course, the very famous instruction he gave him, Kibabi pra kibanyasi shudra ke nenoi jai Krishna tattva beta se guru hoy. So the same is given by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Instruction. Vacho vegam, manaso krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udaropasta vegam. Those who are able to control these 6 urges, they can actually become guru or spiritual masters. So therefore it is very much a question of mental disposition. One needs to be advanced in Krishna consciousness, and the dress therefore is something that is very secondary. So just to close on this point here, in the purport that you quote from the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada is rightly explaining this point. A person who is in Krishna consciousness automatically attains this perfection without even having to accept the so-called order of renunciation. So even someone not only from any ashram, as we mentioned a few minutes ago, some in the Vedic culture, for example, there are individuals who remain brahmacharis the whole life, and they can attain perfection within the brahmachari ashram. There are people who never take sannyas, because sannyas is meant for those who are in the Brahmana Varna. Brahmanas, later on, after householder life, if they take to householder life, then they can take to sannyas ashram. looking at the Varnas, the same also can be said. Whether one is a Brahmana, whether one is serving as a Brahmana, whether one is serving as a Kshatriya, as a Vaishya, or even as a Shudra, if one is Krishna conscious. And all four categories, those who are members of all of these four categories, they can fully become Krishna conscious. So we were commenting on this point just a few days ago. In the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna refers to the Varnas, he clearly explains that it is based on guna and karma. The division is based on guna, quality. Quality for non-devotee, once again, are the modes of material nature, the gunas. And quality for devotee are the inherent qualities of the spirit soul. So therefore, although the karma, guna and karma, although the karma or activities or occupation may externally be the same as someone who is totally under the modes of material nature, just like many, many years ago, one of Prabhupada's disciples was a taxi driver before he came to Krishna consciousness, and he continued to drive taxis. But whoever entered his taxi never went out the same, because his whole taxi was full of pictures of Krishna, playing the Mahamantra, and this devotee who was, having a shaved head, tilak and everything, would introduce them. It was his Krishna conscious gift, we could say, of being very friendly to his customers, and he made many people very favorable to Krishna consciousness. So we may say, well, a driver, which is like a Shudra activity, but the consciousness of the person driving was the consciousness of a devotee. So this should be very, we could say, encouraging for not only every devotee, but actually every member of society. And that is where we can begin to see the great disservice that people have, caused and introduced by deviating from what Varna and Ashrama was initially meant to be. Therefore, whenever there are some material motivations introduced in whatever we do, the original intent and purpose of the Varnas and Ashramas become adulterated, or as Srila Prabhupada would use the term, the vitiated caste system. So there's a natural division in society, but it becomes perverted, it becomes corrupted when those, especially in leadership positions, and who are in leadership positions by nature, those who are Brahmana, Vaishyas. So therefore, the great need, and this was emphasized again and again by our founder Acharya, the great need to train up qualified Brahmanas, but not to stop there. Those Brahmanas have to also train up qualified Kshatriyas. And those Brahmanas also have to train up qualified Vaishyas. And those Brahmanas also have to train up qualified Shudras. Then, if such qualified individuals are there, qualified leaders, what will happen? Those who are by nature dependent, those who are dependent on others, which means the vast majority actually of society, they will look up to those persons because they will recognize in them very desirable qualities. They will naturally want to seek shelter and protection because actually they need. our artificial modern system does not allow this kind of natural interdependency. Rather, it has created a false, unnatural dependency. So, once again, the importance of creating, reviving what is meant to be a more simple and natural environment, which is actually Vedic community or Vedic villages, whereby this interplay can take place between natural leaders in society who have received proper training. Again, the importance of Gurukula training, the importance of formal education, and also the importance of non-formal education within an agrarian culture or lifestyle. Because, as we were reading a little earlier, it is within an agrarian culture or within a village that one becomes localized. We will take one more question. Yes. Let's see here. This is from our community here, actually, Lal Gopal. So, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandabats Pranam. Is it possible for a lower Varna, Shudra, to go back home, back to Godhead in his present life? Or does he have to go through the higher Varnas? Nice question, actually. It doesn't stop there. In other words, the whole system of Varna and Asrama is to gradually elevate one from the lower mode, from the lower modes of nature to the higher mode. Let me just read the rest of the question. Yes. Does he have to go through the higher varnas, that is, Shudra to Vaishya, Vaishya to Kshatriya, Kshatriya to Brahmana, and then attain the supreme abode? As a Shudra in the mode of ignorance, without coming to the mode of goodness and to pure goodness, how can he transcend to the spiritual world? How to understand this? So the idea is that, again, very important to understand. There are two charts. One is a non-devotee chart and one is a devotee chart, right? So the non-devotee chart, as we mentioned, guna and karma. The varna will be based on guna and karma, but for a non-devotee, the guna are the modes of material nature. And the karma or activity relates to these modes of material nature, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Looking at the devotee chart also there is varna. And that varna is also based on guna and karma. But the guna for a devotee, whether he is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, the guna is not connected with the modes of material nature. Or at least there is a gradual progress, because there's a gradual effort through sadhana to become more and more freed from these modes of material nature. So therefore, the guna for a devotee will change from being under the clutches of Maya, or under the clutches or under the influence of the modes of material nature, to that of purified consciousness. So therefore, for a devotee, not only at whatever stage, even at the Shudra level, one who is a devotee, his spiritual quality, his spiritual consciousness will be above that of the mortal. Though his karma may be equal to or similar to the four varnas that are there for a non-devotee. So again, it is not so much the external activity. External activity may seem to be will fall actually in one of these four categories. What is important is the quality of thought, the mental disposition, the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. That all of my activities I am doing for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. I'm engaged in bhakti, devotional service. Okay, initially it is not perfect. That's why we have that level, the 3 levels of devotional service, of bhakti, as very scientifically explained or described in the Nectar of Devotion by Srila Rupa Goswami. Sadhana bhakti is the preliminary initial level for everyone, practically everyone. Then, as one progresses in sadhana bhakti, one can come to the platform of bhava bhakti and eventually of prema bhakti, isn't it? So therefore, regardless of where one may be situated on the ladder of varna or ashrama, if one properly, through cultivation of Krishna consciousness, through the process, the 9 activities of bhakti, beginning with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, up to Atma Nivedanam, complete surrender, then regardless of one's position, one can become totally purified and one can go back home in this lifetime. This is the special mercy that is being given actually to those who are followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a great benediction of the sage of Kali, and therefore the more we understand this, we will take advantage of the facility being given to us, and we will endeavor to share it with as many people as possible, and we will become more and more serious in our application of this process given to us by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, given to us by our acharyas. And in this way, the more we understand this, regardless of where we may be, regardless of what service we may be taking up, regardless of what obstacle we may be facing, because obstacles must be there. That is the nature of the material world. But a devotee who properly cultivates Krishna consciousness is given the ability, he is given actually the Shakti, the power to deal properly with any kind of situation. So therefore, we should simply become more and more convinced that all that we need to resolve whatever issues we may be having, either within our immediate family situation or immediate community or the world situation as we are facing today, Krishna consciousness has all the solutions. The very same point that Prabhupada was in his this morning walk conversation we were reading, Prabhupada was telling, okay, tell me what's the problem? Prabhupada's point was that Krishna consciousness, knowledge that is there in the Vedic literatures, gives us all the solution to all the problems of life. And of course, we all know, if we read Srila Prabhupada's books, which we should do on a regular basis, and be hearing from Srila Prabhupada's classes, for a devotee, there are only basically 4 main problems, isn't it? Therefore, simple living and high thinking means that there are only 4 problems in life, and those 4 problems are the problems of birth, death, old age, and disease. When we understand this, then we don't become overly disturbed by whatever may be taking place in terms of our own bodily situation, or in terms of the different influences or pressures, the adhyatmic, adibautic, and adidaivik clash or pressures that are constantly surrounding us and influencing us in different ways. So we are again at the end of getting close to the end of our session here. Once again, thank you for a few more questions also came through today. One question that we'll be taking up tomorrow or the next day from one devotee in Detroit. So devotees in different places we know that because varnasrama dharma is it is an integral part. This is very important to understand. Varnasrama dharma is an integral part of Sanatana Dharma. Some years back, actually, one devotee, very much involved with Varnasrama, asked me that question: how can we say that Varnasrama, because it's a material system, is eternal? So it is easy to understand, because Varnasrama, all the material, is connected with the gunas, the three modes of material nature. And the three modes of material nature are intimately connected with Prakriti. And we know from Bhagavad Gita that Ishvara, Jiva, Kala, Prakriti, they are four eternal principles. The fifth principle is karma. And karma, fortunately, is not eternal. And it is only these activities of bhakti within a structure, a divine structure, the divine structure, the divine culture of Varnasrama Dharma that can actually help us more easily progress and cultivate this spiritual dimension or spiritual consciousness. In other words, Varnasrama Dharma is an integral part of Sanatana Dharma because it is created by Krishna and helps individuals and society at large to more easily make tangible progress in spiritual life. So thank you all very much, those who are sending in questions, those who are attending our session every day. Everyone kindly continue to be cautious. Of course, if we simply act as devotees conscientiously, then we will be able to make the right decisions. Let us follow the directives that are given by various authorities in these rather challenging times. And let us finish our session by invoking auspiciousness and chanting the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Samasta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Pimanande, Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj ki, Jai.